Hi class. I wanted to provide this little walkthrough for Article Summary 2, just to go over a few things with the assignment and give you some best tips for working through this assignment and how it relates to our final assignment, the data project. So I'm starting here on Canvas at the homework Article Summary 2, and just the purpose of the article summaries is to give us some experience and practice in finding articles, reading them, and condensing them into your own words. And in addition, especially with Article Summary 1 and Article Summary 2, we're leaning into that scenario of the research methods instructor and helping him through his process, right? And just like we had talked about before, starting with that research question and finding out what has the literature done, like what experiments and information has already been found out about this area of students' perceptions of research methods that he has right now, right? So for this second article summary assignment, we're going to go over some details here and then look at best approaches for both this assignment and how it applies to the data project assignment at the end of the term. So our article summary 2, your new article is going to be one that you choose. Now you choose it, but it's got some conditions, right? It needs to be related to the research question of our scenario. In other words, think about Professor Bob and what he's trying to figure out. He's trying to figure out the students' perceptions of how relevant the research methods topics are that he teaches in his class. So we're leaning into that context. So the article that you find to do an article summary on has to be comparable in some way to the Owen article that you already did for article summary 1 and related to that research question in the scenario. Those are how you target an article, using your psych info skills and the cited by or references from Owen, things like that. If you're concerned, you can always email me and ask, say, hey, I found this article, and give me the link to it and say, is this within the parameters? Pretty much as long as it's relating to those, you're fine. So then you're going to do that summary of the new article that you found. Describe the study's purpose, its research questions, its methods, and its conclusion, and also your brief evaluation of that new article. So in some ways, it's very similar to Article Summary 1, right? You're going to use the rubric to help organize your approach to the writing. It still has to be no longer than 5 pages. That does not count your title page and references page. Just 5 body pages needs to be the top end. How short? As short as you want to make it, but you still got to cover all the points. So there's no minimum, but there is a maximum page count. Needs to be fully in your own words. Don't use quotes. You need to still cite, so that we know, so the reader knows if your information is coming from the new article or it's coming from Owen. And it's in a Word document. Your overlap has to be less than 30%. And formatted well, free of spelling, all of that. That's similar to the first article summary. What's different about the article summary 2 is that you're adding a new section in addition to the ones like purpose, method, conclusions, evaluation. You're also working into this one similarities and differences between the article you've chosen and the Owen article that you've already summarized. So just a short section saying how they're alike and how they're different. You do have to be really careful in your citations even more, because whenever you're saying an idea, you need to say where it's coming from. And then now you want your APA references list at the end of your write-up will include both the Owen article and the article that you chose to do your summary on, your Article 2. So that's the details. Definitely look down at the rubric that you've stated the purpose and hypothesis, that you're using your own words, paraphrasing, that you're trying to identify the methodology, again, in your own words, that you are not using statistics when you're doing just the results, just the recap of what this study did. You're just giving your own words on what was found. You want your similarities and differences section, and you want to be solid on your APA. Now, ways to do this really well is to go look at your feedback from Article Summary 1. I'm going to cross over to that. So if I go into Student View here, it should give me generally what your screen looks like. It's not always perfect, so if it looks a little different, it's because they need to do a better job of the student view. But if I'm pretending to be a student and I go to my grades area, you can see I'm a horrible student. I'm missing most assignments. And then here, Article Summary 1, this is where you can get your feedback on that assignment. And you have two or three places you can look for the feedback here. So this piece is the general comments that I leave when I'm grading. So here I've told the student, as instructor, when I'm an instructor, I've told the student here the overlap percent is too high and that they need to rephrase better, and some kind of general guidelines on what you're targeting as a junior writer for improving your write-up and paraphrasing skills. In fact, this has a failure already because it's over 30%. But I did want to show you how when I go into, if I click this bubble, it's going to open up a new screen called Feedback Studio. Now in Feedback Studio, this is where you can see details on where your overlap is happening, right? Here it says it's got 83% overlap. 83% of this paper is exactly like a different paper. Yours should be under 30% or it doesn't get graded at all. But this is just an example. Now, when you do get into Feedback Studio, you can come over to the side menu, the right side, and do that All Sources drop-down, and it shows you where the overlap is occurring at. So you can even go into this and reword the parts, rephrase the parts that are in red, and because that's exactly the part that's overlapped. So if you didn't do such a great job paraphrasing, you can find out using the red areas which sentences need to be paraphrased better. And that's a good way to narrow it down instead of thinking you gotta rewrite the whole thing. Like this one's pretty bad at 83%, but usually if someone has overlap, it's too much overlap, it's like in the 30s, so it wouldn't be this much. And then another area you look at to get your feedback for Article Summary 1 is here in View Feedback. I'll let that load up, and I want it to get big, so I'm going to use that expand symbol. There we go. So here you can see the little yellow comments, and that's like details on right here. I'm telling the student that they need to check the font in their header and footer. And I usually let students know where in APA. If it's an APA rule, I try to let them know where in APA to find it. But as I scroll down, you see there's yellow. That means there's places to fix. Green means good job. Like I noticed you nailed it. And then blue is kind of just informational. Like here on Article Summary 1, you might have found a lot of information about the method for Owen, but I can let you know what I saw. Like when I read it, what do I see? So the blue is like FYI, the yellow is things to fix, and the green is good job. And like I said, usually I try to tell you if it's an APA issue, I try to let you know where to find it in APA. Like here, typically when words of they, these, or this are used, there's a foothold for vagueness or miscommunication, and we want to write clearly and concisely. So I'm letting the student know that here's where you can get the details on concise, clear writing. So that's what your feedback looks like in Article Summary 1. And you use that to help you get better at article summaries. And you also use it to help make your final assignment, the data project, even better. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I can close this one. And I can get out of student view. So that last project, that last homework called Data Project, that's where we talked about at the beginning of the term how a lot of your assignments build into this. And where do the article summaries fit into this last assignment? Well, your data project starter, which is like an outline that you can start filling in, that's exactly what you should do. You should start filling in the pieces that you have. It's way easier to compile the pieces that you get the feedback on and you can go ahead and start working with instead of waiting till the end of the term and trying to remember what was that about? What was that second article about? It's easier to do it as soon as you get the feedback from an assignment that might be part of this. You want to go ahead and start working on it now. So this is that data project starter, the outline. And right here, you can already tell your reader about the scenario. You can already do that right now. You already know the scenario, what Professor Bob is up to. You can go ahead and tell the reader, this is the context of why I'm writing this paper. Okay? The short recap of ON 217, you can already do that. You have your feedback from Article Summary 1, and you can go ahead and make it a smaller section within this bigger paper and just condense it. As you find your next article for Article Summary 2, pay attention, make note of how you found it. Like, did you go use PsycInfo to find that second article? Did you use one of the articles that ON 217 was referencing? Or did you use something that was citing ON 217? And then you're going to do a short recap of your article summary 2. And once you get your feedback from me grading your article summary 2, you'll be able to, shore that piece up already. So right there, by the time you get the feedback for article summary 2, you could have this whole opening intro section completed. And that's great because then all you have to do is fill in the rest of these parts on your data project assignment. So that's the best thing to do. Use your feedback and start working on it now, each piece as you get it. Okay, well that's all I had to go over for Article Summary 2. Feel free to put any questions you have on the Q&A discussion site, discussion board right there, course Q&A. I always watch this first to see if anyone's posted anything like questions, and then I check my inbox and my email, but this is the first place I go to see if you guys have any questions on the assignments or the chapters. All right, looking forward to reading your submissions.